Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'm your host, Airsoft Al, and a little bit of a disclaimer at the moment. The background behind me is not the one I'm mostly used for recording. The other area is just currently a bit of a mess because everything's being reorganized with the next set of holidays coming up, so it's like, yeah, one of those things. Also, another big tidbit, this video may be demonetized because of the subject matter it's covering, even though I'm trying my best to basically work around the system as I always do. So, yeah. But, on a more lighter topic, and hopefully by this point in time the YouTube bots have basically cleared this video to be monetized. If not, then down below, PayPal, consider donating. Moving on. So, the biggest thing I've always been asked, and one I think I have an answer for, which I know more than a few veterans who I'm friends with are going to pipe up and basically disagree with it. This is an opinion piece. It's not an end-all, be-all, it's just an opinion piece. So, let me speak my piece, and if you disagree, sound off in the comments section and just kind of start a conversation. But please, try to be civil.
Are you serious?
Already I can tell I've basically asked the impossible, and the possible can only happen when hell freezes over, so yeah. But I believe the question is, or at least in my opinion, that combat sports, or at least hobbies like, Nerf, paintball, airsoft, gel ball blasters, that sort of thing actually could be very good for writers. And what I mean by that is basically having the ability to be able to go outside and actually experience simulated combat for your story if your story is action-oriented, if your story has simulated combat in it, or at least has a bit of combat in it. Being able to describe how a pew feels in your hands, and sort of how it articulates, how it works, kind of how everything kind of works out in between. Or even, just a base blaster for your sci-fi blaster, which, yes, fun fact, Nerf blasters have been used as bases for many, many, many a blaster in science fiction. And you can still find them. Hell, a lot of airsoft replicas have been used as bases for science fiction based blasters or firearms. Hell, you can, in Dark Matter, the UAR was actually used extensively in that show, as well as the Tavor and many other Nerf blasters that you can actually spot out. So, yeah, just some examples I wanted to point out. But before I go any further, let me just go ahead and kind of point out the obvious. Nerf guns. Why would Nerf blasters be a good example for science fiction like blasters or firearms? Do you really need me to explain that? Look at the Nerf Elite here. Look at the Hyperfire here and tell me this does not look like a base for a blaster or even something that you would see out of a sci-fi setting. Just look at it. I'll give you a bit. Just look at it. You good? Okay, moving on. But no, seriously, the silhouette, the way it handles, the way it is with the magazine fed, and the controls themselves, if you paint this up right, it could look like a sci-fi blaster, or even a sci-fi like styled assault rifle with an integrated flashlight at the bottom, or something along that lines, to basically fit your science fiction needs. That, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly one of the reasons why this is such a cool idea to use Nerf blasters for your science fiction blasters or your science fiction firearms. But moving on to the main meat of this video. When it comes to airsoft guns, there are many, many models on the market right now that you can legitimately buy and you can own, and you don't have to worry about the ATF or the FBI or any one of the alphabet boys basically busting down your door trying to claim that you have an illegal firearm. I mean, the cool thing about airsoft guns is that you can customize them to fit what you want for your character, or kind of see how one is for, you know, how it would feel for your character to be able to have it set up the way they want, and kind of see if that works out for you, or just having the one to mess around. And spraying airsoft guns are a good example of having something to kind of look at as a reference point. And before I forget, airsoft guns have been used before in the past in video games. One of the most infamous examples being Black. Black, literally every single firearm in that game are airsoft guns. Don't believe me? Go look it up yourself. It is honest to, it is legitimately something that is a part of the airsoft mythos. And it is true. Hell, early airsoft guns were used in Hong Kong action flicks and even other movies, even low-budget films. Say what you will about airsoft, but we do make a mark in the industry. And again, I wouldn't be surprised. Hell, we are in the I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm saying is that spraying airsoft guns, like, say, shotguns. Most people will buy one of these because it fits that profile of a shotgun, and it kind of gives them that ability to basically feel how a shotgun feels. Understand how racking the pump feels. Basically kind of give that. However, because most will go for the magazine-fed shotguns, you won't be able to get that sort of understanding of how to actually load in a shell one at a time unless you actually buy the shell-ejecting gas shotguns, which is the CAM 870s. Or 590s, whichever one you want to go with, or even the other variety of shell-fired shotguns on the market. And yes, there is a lot of them, if you don't know. Another good example of what people will do to basically help out and get a firearms reference is, again, they'll still go with the Springers, but they'll also go for the Cold War rifle models. The M14 being the most popular that you will see in a lot of literature, especially when it's centered around the Cold War era. And I can understand. I mean, the M14 was the rifle of the U.S. military until the M16 came around. For at least a good bit, until it was kind of pulled out in, you know, the first Middle Eastern war we went into. But I'm not going to get into firearms politics. I'm just telling you exactly why they would get these. And again, this being a good example. This is your basic full-length M14 that you get for about $50. And again, good reference material and reference source for an M14, and sort of how it feels, how it looks, how to rock and lock a magazine, and, you know, just, yeah, kind of give you an understanding and overview of an M14 rifle that you want to describe in your story. Same thing can be said for science fiction firearms. Again, because airsoft is so easy to do, we can literally have this when we couldn't have it in actual firearms. Now this is a cut concept gun from, of course, Ghost in the Shell, and it does work. It's basically just a shell. It's basically just a kit around an M4, and that's where, again, things can work out pretty well for you. And there are so many science fiction guns in the market right now, especially the I'm trying to think, the CAR, I think, or at least the ABR, I think it was, the Advanced Battle Rifle. Again, I might be wrong, I might have a picture up on screen already talking about it, but you get what I'm saying. This is one of many science fiction guns that can be used in your writing materials, or at least as a reference, to what you want to have for for your sci-fi setting. Now, of course, for every good guy gun, you got the bad guy gun. We got AKs galore. This being a Spring AK-74 or Crank-Off. And the cool thing is, for those of you who are my airsoft videos, this actually does take AEG magazines, meaning that this is the most realistic you're going to get for a magazine to be able to feed in this, and you're going to be able to have that rock and lock fashion and be able to, yeah, more or less. But again, we have AKs galore, as much as AR-15s. But the cool thing about the sport itself and the fact that all airsoft guns are one-to-one replicas is that you're able to customize the guns however you want to set up, like I said before, for your good guy gun or even some of your bad guy guns. Let's say you have your setting in Germany in the far-off future. Well, just take a good old-fashioned G36 here, throw in a, the P90 CQR grip here, and you have yourself a futuristic style P90. And, just, again, how it is. That way you can get a feel and understanding of how the firearm is, or at least how one could manipulate it. Especially with that folding stock feature, you could have yourself like a compact little, spray and pray type gun. Let's say you have a sci-fi cyberpunk type world, and you want your own style of firearm that's in that world. Well, just take an AR-15, a MP5 mag converter, and some G36 styled lock and rock, when I mean lock and rock, I mean like, they can connect together type magazines, and you essentially have your cyberpunk firearm like I built. Introducing your cyberpunk PCC, AR, submachine gun thing, with, well, you see what it is. And literally when I said MP5 mag converter, I meant literally an MP5 mag converter. Meaning you can take your little AR-15 here with some mag pull, all that, and literally have a submachine gun of sorts, but still basically have the ergonomics of a AR-15. And you can describe how that is, how that works, and kind of how it came to be. Again, it's just, one of those things. But let's say you want to set up a sort of, basic M4, or you want something that's, like an M4, but not your standard M4. You want something a little bit more, kind of retro modern, or how you would personally set up your AR-15 or your M4 for your main character. Well, for me personally, I have my own. I introduce to you the Magpul PTS M4 carbine solid stock with a grenade launcher. And yes, this is an airsoft grenade launcher. Yes, they do work just like the real ones. No, they cannot fire real 40 mics. However, I wish they did. But again, it's literally, you have this here, and you can feel the weight the grenade launcher gives. You can understand how the firearm handles. You can understand how to reload your magazine, how to swap on the fly, how to literally flip off the safety, fire, unload a shell, put a new shell in, bring it down, and then fire again. And that's just one aspect of what I'm talking about. Aside from being able to customize the airsoft guns or even your Nerf blasters, the other aspect of combat sports is literally being able to go out there. I mean, yes, you could go to your local fields and be able to do pickup games for airsoft and kind of give that whole, like, hectic, frantic battlefield situation. Or you can save up the money and be able to do MilSim, or military simulation. MilSim West, American, I believe American Lion is still around, or something along that lines. There are a lot of huge MilSim events, including Desert Fox events, who do really cool MilSim events, and even incorporate technology that could give you that whole sci-fi battlefield type situation, where you're literally able to use your phone to keep track of capture points that you are taking, where the enemy is, where your allies are. And that whole scenario right there would be great for a science fiction battlefield type scenario. And again, I'm just throwing out examples of how this all works, how this all goes down. Not to mention, of course, the loadouts, the banter, the communications, everything that comes along with combat sports. And again, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to learn more about it, do your research into airsoft, into Nerf, into gel ball blasting, and just look at it for what it is and what it can offer you, the authors out there. I mean, hell, I haven't even touched the surface of all the guns we have in airsoft. And if you want to actually see them all, just go look on all the airsoft retailers. And you will see what we have, including Taiwan Gun. Just, dear God. But this video has gone on long enough, and I've spoken my piece. In my opinion, combat sports are a great source for authors, not only to relieve their stress, but also to kind of learn from airsofters themselves, or nerfers, or gel ball blasting enthusiasts, because there are many military veterans in these communities, and I do mean that. And from there, those veterans can actually help you with questions you might have, like, how did this work for our team in this game? How did this communication work? How did this call out work? How did the hand signals work? How did you could basically ask the questions that you would need to basically have for writing in your book, as well as get more information and kind of talk and actually being able to sit down and talk with military veterans. Again, that's just one of the many aspects and just the tip of the iceberg for literally all of what combat sports can give for authors who want to write fan fictions or want to write their own stories. And I recommend you give these a try. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my opinion. I've spoken my piece, and I hope you learned something today. And I hope it gets you interested to try nerfing, airsofting, or even gel ball blasting, or hell, paintball if you want to. And yeah. Anyway, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, and if this video has been demonetized, then consider donating to our PayPal down below. Or if you were inspired to actually try out airsoft or any of the other things I've told you about, then consider going down to the comments section and saying so. If you want to come talk to me and others who are of like mind with me, then consider checking out the Discord link down below. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al. And if you have a question or something you'd like my opinion on, leave it down in the comments section down below. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al. I will see you all in the next video. Till next time.
Looking for that perfect game for your gaming console? Video Game Corner is the largest independently owned video gaming store in North Mississippi, located at 1519 Highway 72 in Corinth. We are an authorized limited-run retail store and have a massive collection of retro games and game systems, and also plush toys and collectibles. We also pay top dollar for your used video games. Check them out Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit Video Game Corner in Corinth.